Yes, we are. Spare the rod, spoil the child, the good book says. But as a parent, at what age do you start disciplining your child? And God forbid, at what age do you start spoiling the child? On AM Live today, we are joined by a child psychologist and two parents to answer the questions and more. A very good morning to you, Dr. Kathy. High five.
Good morning.
Lillian, karibu sana, a mother of two. And Hanukkah with baby. This is your first baby.
Yes, first baby.
And she will not go away. She refuses to be with anyone other than mommy. So she will sit here with us for the interview, maybe perhaps be a demonstration. Ladies, it's wonderful for you to be here with us. We're now going to start with Lillian. You've got two babies,
Yes.
and I understand one of them you conceived through IVF.
Yes,
That must have been trying for you.
it was. Last year was the longest year, but very successful.
All right.
Yes.
We are certainly going to be looking for you to talk a little bit more about your experience and what that was like for you.
Yes.
But how old is your eldest child?
11, Debbie, she's 11 years old.
So she's in school right now?
She's in school right now.
Okay.
Yes, I only wish I would have brought her along, or she would have stayed home to watch, but she's in school.
Let her get an education.
Yes.
And your youngest, what's your baby's name?
She's Tina, she's 6 months old.
All right.
Yes.
Hanukkah,
Yes.
how old is your baby?
She's almost 15 months.
All right. And what's her name?
Malika.
Malika. Hi, Malika. Are you okay? She's just wondering what's up with all these bright lights, Mom. But she's got something nice and shiny from
Yes.
Kobe.
Yes.
So we hope that will keep her entertained a while. What were some of the challenges that you faced raising Debbie, especially in punishment?
Okay, Debbie being an only child, it has been quite a challenge. I want to believe that I spoiled her so much. And by the time I realized that I needed to instill discipline, she was much, much older. So it's been quite a challenge, but we are managing. She's 11, so no longer able to beat or spank. We have an arrangement where we talk and agree about stuff, and that has been working for us.
Okay.
Yes.
Terry, in crime, the punishment must fit the crime. When you do something, there are consequences to that action. And what, say, if Malika broke a bottle or broke Kobe's bracelet? What would happen next? Is she at an age where she'd understand she's done something wrong?
Okay, at this age, she might not understand that breaking the bracelet would actually be bad. But training starts as early as after birth, where you have to train a baby sleeping time, there's waking up time, there's feeding time, that they should sleep in their own baby. So training starts right from birth, although it is different for different ages. Like at her age, even a disapproval look would tell her that this is not right, and in future she would know that this is not associated with a smile. When I do this, I get a smile. When I do this, I don't get a smile. Yes.
So Malika wants something and she can't get it. What
Yeah.
does she want?
Microphone.
She wants the microphone, and so she's pulling a proper tantrum right there.
And really at this age, she wouldn't know that we are in a studio. She wouldn't know that we need a microphone.
Yeah.
So I think the best thing for us is to let her walk around and be a baby.
All right. While Malika is being a baby, we're going to take a look at Vox Pops from what you had to say about disciplining a child.
Kwanza unajua, mara ya kwanza mnaongea, unamweleza makosa yake. Alafu sasa unajua, alafu sasa baadaye ndio ukiona ameenda sana, sasa ndio unaweza tumia kiboko. Kuchapa mtoto si makosa. Ni sawa pia kudiscipline mtoto na kiboko. Maana hata kwa Biblia Mungu anakubali hiyo.
It's a 50-50 question. Yeah, you can discipline. There's maybe corporal punishment is what you shouldn't do that much, but you can talk and then everything is solved.
First of all, you're supposed to bond with the child. When he's wrong, try and ask the person, mbona ulifanya hivi? Don't first come and hit the kid without giving them a chance to explain what happened. And beating is the solution. There are other ways of doing things.
To discipline a child, it's not a must to cane the child, because you can cane the child and there are other children that do not listen to you when you beat them. But you can talk to your child in a manner that she or he can understand that what he or she is doing is wrong.
Huwezi piga mtoto vile utapiga mtu mzima, and also it depends unampiga wapi. So mi kwangu niko na mtoto, that one is my baby. So ile kudiscipline mtoto unampatia punishment. Ukimpatia punishment, so tuseme ulikuwa umemwambia usiende mahali fulani ameenda, for the next days kujaeni saa inahitaji aende huko unamkataza.
I think nowadays things have changed. One way to discipline my kid, I think it will be more of talking to them directly instead of beating them up like I used to be caned when I was young.
Some of your thoughts on disciplining a child. Tumetoka mbali, kama ulichapwa na slipa sema hallelujah. Hallelujah. Tuko wengi. Doctor, you were beaten with a slipper.
Oh, yes.
Really?
Yeah.
Lillian?
My dad used to box my brothers. I have 5 of them and only 1 sister.
No.
Yes.
So our parents have put us through a lot of different forms of punishment. Hanukkah, you're from Canada.
Yes.
What kind of punishment did you grow up with when you were naughty, when dad or mom were just fed up and needed to do something?
Okay, well, we were rarely spanked. I think it happened maybe once or twice. But my mom definitely used more psychological discipline and punishment. So we were quite well behaved. We knew not to mess with my mother, and both me and my younger sister were quite afraid of her, actually.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Now I'm sure you're beginning to see a very different side of Kenya and how we deal with our children.
Absolutely.
And spanking for us is very top on the list. It's probably number 1, then the talking comes number 2. But when it comes to punishment, Daktari, it shouldn't just be about spanking. There are other ways to let a child know that they've done something wrong and shouldn't do it again.
Yes.
Walk us through those.
Yes. When it comes to discipline, if I might define it in the first place, discipline is actually training someone to be able to obey rules and to behave in an acceptable manner. So discipline can be through positive means, like when you praise a good behavior, it sticks. Sometimes you may need to use even a reward system to achieve a good behavior. Like a child who has problems preparing in the morning for school, when you put a timer and you tell them, you know what, when you finish dressing in the next 5 minutes, you get a sticker. At the end of the month, we will draw your stickers and give you a reward. That is a positive way of disciplining. But again, there is also the consequences when there's misbehavior, which is also part of the discipline. So we deny privileges when there's misbehavior. We also use consequences. There are natural consequences and consequences enforced by the parent. For example, you are supposed to watch TV for 1 hour and you watch for 2 hours. So the following day you don't watch TV, that's a consequence. Again, there's time out. When you train children that when you are so stressed, so annoyed, you need to take a break and think before you answer or before you outburst. Those are forms of discipline.
All
Yes.
right. It doesn't
Yes.
just have to be physical.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
We'd like to encourage you to get in touch with us. If you'd like to ask your questions, if you're going through challenges when it comes to disciplining your child, the doctor is here. You can share your experiences with us. Hanukkah and Lillian too will be here. And if they understand what you're going through, we're going to hear a few amens up in there. The numbers are on your screen now, so do get in touch with us. Lillian, 11 years, so you've got a blueprint. You know how you're going to deal with Tina.
I do.
But every child is different. I'm
Yes.
sure you're noticing now.
Yes, true.
There were some things that Debbie did that Tina probably hasn't even started doing yet.
Yes, true.
So what were the biggest challenges for you with Debbie?
I guess the biggest challenge has been being an only child, like I said. Too much attention on her, and of course last year was also a bit tricky for her because a new baby was coming in, so she kept on doing things the wrong way, and everybody's like, oh, you need to understand her, maybe it's the new baby that is coming. And between me and her, it's like rules are rules and they have to be obeyed. A baby is coming, we prepared her for that. She's excited, but at the same time she's feeling like, is mommy going to be the same? Is daddy going to be the same? Am I going to be left out in this? So we're getting there one day at a time. She's accepted her big sister, her little sister. I have told her that whatever she does, Tina is going to take along. So she's really careful, and we are getting there.
So far, so good.
So far, so good. And we've learned to talk. I stopped spanking. She's 11. So we agreed no more spanking.
All right.
But I used to.
Okay.
Yeah. And I don't
Hanukkah.
tell her, nitakuchapa. I chapa.
The threat.
No
sometimes
threats,
we
because they
threaten
don't
so
work.
much.
Threats don't work.
Nitakuchapa.
They
At
get
some
used to
point,
it.
the
They
threat
get used to
stops
it,
working.
and it just doesn't work.
Okay.
So if you want to chapa, chapa. so that they know at that particular time that nimechapwa because I did ABCD that mommy didn't like. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Hanika,
Yes.
Malika is 15 months.
Yes.
And she's very strong about what she wants, and when she
Absolutely.
wants it now.
Yes.
What challenges are you facing with boundaries for her?
Well, yes, it has been challenging. I guess first of all, I should say that I actually don't believe in punishment at all. I have a very different philosophy that I'm trying to follow through. It's not always easy, of course, because it's also not the mainstream way of doing things. For Malika right now, it's difficult because, yeah, she's a very strong-spirited girl. She knows what she wants, and of course, like you said, when she doesn't get it, she gets quite upset already at her young age. The challenge we're facing is we cannot reason with her at the moment because she doesn't understand why she cannot, get a certain thing.
The microphone, for example.
Absolutely. I
It's
can't
right
explain
there
to her.
on mommy's coat.
It's
Why can't I
interesting,
have
it's
it?
new, it's a different color, and
Okay.
why. And we've also noticed the more that we try to keep her away from something, the more, of course, she wants to find out, what is this thing that, mom and dad don't want me to touch. So that actually makes her more interested, basically.
In whatever that thing is. When she grows up, how do you think you'll approach discipline? The issue of discipline is very important.
Absolutely. I think I was having a discussion a while back about this, and I think my concept of discipline is also a little bit different than maybe the usual definition. I think discipline is normally defined as, molding someone to follow the rules and to use punishment in order, to mold that person. In our case, I think we're looking more to create a very strong attachment with our child, so that, I want her to respect us. I want her to look up to us as, adults who do know how to behave, or we know how to behave the best possible in society. And I hope that we will be good role models for her, and that she will want to follow, our behaviors. But at the same time, I don't want her to fear us, and I don't want her to behave because she's worried that she's going to disappoint us, because she has her own character, she has her own, way of thinking, and that's something I really want to be careful not to break in her.
Okay. Now we've got a viewer who's joining us on the line. Good morning. How are you?
Hi Sheila.
Hey, madam. How are you doing?
Very well. This is Beth from Car West.
Hey, Beth.
Yeah, hi. I am enjoying the AM live on this screen.
Thank you. What's your question
and I
or
like
comment?
what Dr. Kathy has just pointed out,
Yeah.
that you don't have to beat a kid. You can use other ways of disciplining children.
Right.
And I want to share what happens where my son's school, that is Marion School in Car West.
Mm-hmm.
At the start of every week, they have an apple tree. Every kid has an apple tree.
Right.
And they have like 20 apples. Then you start losing your apple from the word from Monday.
Yeah.
When you are in this sprint, like if you don't close eyes when they are praying, you lose one apple. If you make noise in class, you lose like 2 apples. Okay, they have pointed out how many apples you lose when you do this and this.
Right.
So at the end of the week, if a kid loses all apples, their parents are called. You have to discuss this with the teacher.
Right.
And they fear that, so they maintain their apples. If you maintain 15 apples, by the end of the week, you're rewarded.
All right.
And this has helped a lot. I've actually started using this in my house, even with the small one.
Right.
And I'm telling you, it is working. So you don't have to beat a kid to maintain discipline. You can do other ways. You can innovate other ways.
All right. Thank you. Thank you very much for sharing with us, Beth. Dr. you truly
Yes.
agree. I could see
I
you
agree,
nodding
and
happily.
being a Kenyan mother, I've used both forms, because initially with my firstborn, who is now 16, I did what I saw my parents do, and it would bring frustrations, like when you spank a child and you don't see the change you would expect, and what about the time when you're not there? And when I went back for my master's, did part 1, we did psychology and psychiatry, and I really saw the disadvantages of spanking, that you train this person that when there is misbehavior, you resort to violence. They are likely to sort out those issues. And I got interested in these other modes of parenting. I went ahead and got a program from the University of Washington, The Incredible Years, which I started using. At that time, it was around 5 years. And when I later got the second born, who is 9 years, I've used now the positive parenting, other forms of disciplining children, and I've seen it working. At the end of it, when you discipline through loss of privileges, consequences, mixing with the positive praise and using rewards and ignoring tantrums for the younger ages, then you see that child gets skills and can even behave well when you're not there. As opposed to spanking. When mommy is not there to spank or daddy is not there to spank, then what happens to this child? So we say that disciplining is training the child to obey rules and also behave well. It doesn't have to be spanking.
Right.
Yes.
Hanukkah, you truly and completely agree with the doctor on this. Finding ways to dialogue.
Yeah, I guess the only problem I have is like with the issue of punishment and consequences. I even, like for example, I don't agree even in timeouts, because that is actually a form of emotional punishment, because you're removing the child from the parent. Whereas I think having time-ins instead might be more productive and might be better to understand why the child is misbehaving in the first place. I think that's the issue with punishment. The biggest issue I have is you only focus on the behavior rather than, kind of thinking, why is the child behaving in that way? Did they, are they feeling left out for a reason? Do they have, have they had issues somewhere else? There could be many reasons. I know with my 15-month-old Malika, if she's hungry, for example, she tends to act out a little bit more than usual. If she's overtired, so there's all these reasons that I think it's important maybe to explore first.
To look behind the action and why they're acting up.
Absolutely.
The challenge with that is the child doesn't get to learn that you need to obey rules in life, because even if you bond with the child, pray with them, praise them and reward them, a time comes when they have to test limits. And they need to also learn that rules need to be obeyed, and when people test limits, there are consequences. That's my view, and that is what I've come across in research.
Okay.
Yes.
We continue, of course, with this amazing discussion in just a moment. But first, let's have a chat with a lady on the line. Good morning.
Good morning, Sheila.
How are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
Mariam?
Yeah, my name is Mariam.
What's your question or comment?
Yeah, my question to Dr. is whether stubbornness, or what we call kichwa ngumu in Kiswahili, is a product of too much spanking.
Too much?
Spanking.
Too much spanking,
Okay.
Beating up.
Uh-huh.
And then my second question is maybe Dr. can shed light on how to deal with the teenagers.
Okay.
Do we need to spank them also, or what do we do with them if they become unruly?
Okay. Two questions.
Yeah, she's right. Excessive spanking can actually make the child look like they're immune to the spanking. And that's why we advocate for other means of shaping behavior. And to our second question about teenagers, the issue with the teenagers is that they adore their peers, and at that time they want to listen to the peers more than they would to the parents. And so the good thing with teenagers is you need to abandon them with them early. You need to have had a relationship, and communication. Opening your channels of communications with teenagers is very important, because when you block them, then they listen to the peers. And the best way to do that, from also my experience with my 16-year-old, is when they tell you something, get their opinion first before you give your own. For example, if they come and say, so and so was copying homework in school, before you say, how could he do that? You need to ask them, what do you think about that? And that way you get to know what they know, what they are hearing from their peers,
and how they understand.
And how they understand. Then you give your opinion.
Yeah.
But again, you have to communicate your values. So the best thing with teenagers, keep the communication channels open.
Okay.
Yes.
Lillian, I have a question for you. When when Debbie was growing up, did you ever have tantrums in, for example, a supermarket, or when you were far from home, when she would be acting out and you had to do something? Did you do something then, or did you say, wait,
Unfortunately, I never had that with her.
really?
I never
She
had
behaved
that.
herself.
She's always behaved herself. Once in a while, she'll get to lie here and there, but she's always behaved herself. Yes.
All right.
Yes.
Dr. In the case of your child acting up, you're in a supermarket or you're in church and baby is being a little, do you administer something then, or do you wait until you're in the car or at home?
No, tantrums.
Yeah.
When we are dealing with tantrums, you ignore the tantrums, and the child withdraw themselves. When you have said no, you have to remain calm, ignore the child, don't give them attention, because we say the attention rule. Children will always look for your attention, either through praise. You give them praise, that is attention. If you don't praise them, then they'll look for your attention through throwing tantrums, or sometimes it's something you're denying them, they'll throw a tantrum. But it's also good to understand, why is this child throwing a tantrum? Sometimes it's because of frustrations. Probably you have been on a long journey, they're tired or they're hungry. So it's good to understand and predict that if you know this child cannot stay still for this long, then you have mechanisms to assist the child. But when a child, you need to tell a child no, because you feel, for example, they shouldn't have a sweet, they have had too many. You have to stick to your point, ignore, distract, and then when they've now calmed down, then you give your attention back. Okay. You don't ignore them the whole day.
Okay,
yes.
All right. We're joined by one more caller before we wrap up. Ladies, thank you very much for being here again. Good morning, how are you?
Hi, Sheila and
hey.
Harry.
And our girls
Hi.
in the studio. Usiwa
Hello.
Saho.
Hello.
Hi, we can hear you. How are you doing?
I'm fine. How are you?
Very well, thank you. What's your question?
I wanted to ask Daktari.
Yeah.
How do you discipline a 3-year-old?
How do you discipline a 3-year-old?
Yes.
All right.
Yes, at 3-year-old, a child has developed speech, and at 3 years, you can even teach them. Every home needs to have rules, so you need to have told them about the rules. Like if you sit in the car, you must put a seat belt. When you're playing, if you live near a road that they shouldn't go to play in the road, they need to understand those rules. Then again, you need to discuss with them early in advance. When they break these rules, what are the consequences? But again, you still need to bond the child. You know, it is very easy to correct a friend. So if you have been playing with this child, praising them when they behave well, when it comes to withdrawing from that bank you've already had with the child, then it's very easy. So again, you still have to have discussed with them about consequences of breaking the rules you've set. Enforcing routines, you know, things we take for granted. When a child knows that when I wake up, I take breakfast, I brush my teeth, I dress up for kindergarten, it's very easy for them to follow that. Right. And because it's done every day, it becomes a routine. When a child knows sleeping time is 9 o'clock, then it's very easy to follow that. Okay. So you can discipline a 3-year-old child, bond with them first, but make sure your rules are followed and there are consequences. Praise them when they behave well, and teach them how to take time out and cool down.
All right.
Yes.
Mama Malika.
Yes.
It's a challenge raising a baby, but you are at home with your baby. You're the primary caregiver.
Yes.
Do you worry about maybe someday going back to work and knowing that she will have to spend her day with someone else?
No, not really. I mean, we do have a house help who's been there since she's born, who's also a very loving and caring person. So actually, we share the responsibilities. You know, being at home, sometimes I'll do some of the housework. She'll take care of Malika. We exchange the work basically.
And she knows not to pinch Malika, not to punish
absolutely.
Malika.
No, and she's a very gentle. I believe she raised her own girls the same way. She's just a very calm and loving person. So really, it's lovely to have her. She's almost like a family member.
All right.
And I guess I'm not worried because I know if ever I will leave her at a young age, it will always be with a loving person. I'm not ready to send her off to school just yet. I'm going to wait quite some time.
Okay.
So in that sense, no, I'm not worried so long as the person I'm leaving her with knows how we're raising her and can give the same level of attention and love as we do.
And care. All right.
Absolutely.
The conversation on discipline does not end here. There's so much that can be said, and we'll continue with this on our social media platforms. If you've got questions, comments, you want to get in touch with Dr. Kathy, of course, her contact will be up there. We take a short break, but first, take a look at what we found on the tube.